Hi, I'm Tolik and this is the C300 Mark II tutorial series for Camera 3 operators. In this video, we're going to go over all the basics. How to set it up, how to hold it, how to control the image, and the basic movements that we do on stage. So, first thing you notice, this is where it belongs, right on this shelf. This is where you'll bring it at the end, and this is where you'll find it every Sunday. So, first thing you need to do, 2 batteries. One for the wireless system, one for the camera itself. These are the ones for the wireless system. You plug it in. Should hear a little click, that's how you know it's secure. Now the battery for here. This is over here behind the camera 1 screens. Grab the big one if it's charged. Come back here. Slide it all the way to the right, and then slide it to the left. Big click, same thing as before. Now, you just gotta turn on the wireless system, which is on the right here. Now you're ready to hold the camera. Like so. Now, there's an arm right here. And the way to extend it is you click this button, slides it out like this, and it should lock it in place. You put it where you think you're gonna want it. Then you put your hand in the slide, put it on your shoulder. This is the main way you're gonna be holding it. Open up the screen, and this is your main position right here. If you do need to make adjustments to this handle, take it off your shoulder, place it on something secure, and slide it around as much as you need. And then when you grab it back, make sure you have it secured. We don't want this camera doing any somersaults. Test it back on your shoulder. Now there is one other way that you'll be operating this camera, and that is off the shoulder. So you also have to figure out how comfortable you feel with it off your shoulder. I like to hold it with my left hand here. I am left hand dominant. And then have my right hand somewhere on this handle right here. You want to be doing these kind of movements. So whatever you're comfortable like this, that's the way you're going to want it. And those are the 2 ways to operate this camera. Now let's jump into the settings. Well, the first thing you got to do is turn it on. You switch it from off to camera. Now I know there's a lot of buttons here, but most of the time we're not going to be using any of them. 1 through 4, completely useless. What do you need to know though? ISO at number 5, shutter speed at 6, and then white balance here at the bottom. Then these 2 knobs right here, your selection knob and your f-stop knob. Remember the f-stop knob. This one's the most important. This is what's going to be changing your brightness and darkness on stage. The higher you go, the darker it's going to get, and the lower you go, the brighter it's going to get. Now the other 3, the way you change them is you select one of them and you use the top knob to adjust them. These should be done before the service starts. ISO should be around 320. Shutter speed should be always 1/60. And then white balance has to be adjusted for every single service because we don't know the lighting on stage and we don't know if the outside light is going to be affecting it. And that's all you really need to know for the buttons here. Let's get some shots with this camera. Now, for those of you who have been with us a long time, you can already tell that there's already a big difference between this. First of all, we can move around anywhere we want without any limitations. No more wire tugging. And the other great thing about this camera is that it does have an autofocus feature right here. You can turn it off and on. The only time it will usually be off is with the drum booth. When we get close-ups of the hands, it doesn't know what to focus on, but usually it will always be on. And the second thing is it does have a zoom in and a zoom out feature right here on the lens. Unlike before, where we did a lot of zoom in and zoom outs, it'll be very limited here. Most of the time we'll be getting a lot of different kinds of shots. So a lot more GoPros, wraparounds, pans, and close-ups. Now what do I mean by those? Let's start with the first one, the wraparound shot. Now this shot is exactly how the name implies. You start with one side of the instrument and you'll wrap around to the other side. Just be careful where your footing is. You don't want to trip over anything, knock anyone over, or push any of the instruments. This shot can be practically done with any of the instruments. Piano, drums, guitar, whatever you can. If you can wrap around it, if you got the space, you can try it. Second kind of shot we did with this camera is the panning shot. This is where you start with a wide shot of one instrument and you pan to another one. With the old Camera 3, this would be way too shaky, but with this one, it's got the right amount. And this one doesn't really have any limitations. You can start from the piano, go to the guitarist, to the drums, and back. It doesn't really matter. The third one is the classic GoPro shot. This is where the camera looks like a GoPro attached to an instrument. We mainly do it with guitars, but you can try it on other instruments. The fourth kind of shot that we can do is manual zoom outs. So we're used to clicking a button and it zooming out for us, but this is a shot you can do off the shoulder. It's where you start off real close physically to the camera and you take steps backwards physically away from the instrument. I think it looks best that way. And of course, you can always try to do zoom out shots with the lens itself. Another kind of shot that we do with this camera is close-up shots. So this is where you focus on the hands the most. So you usually just keep it close up on them and whatever they're doing. With the piano, it's more of a static shot, but with the guitar and drums, you can go back and forth from each one. Just make sure that the autofocus isn't freaking out on the drums. Lastly, my favorite kind of shot that we do with this camera, at least a new shot that we do with this kind of camera, are high and low angles. And just like the names imply, a low angle shot is where you're basically down on the ground and shooting upwards towards the instrument. And a high angle shot is where the camera is above your head and you're shooting down towards the instrument. Now, of course, this is a new camera, so we don't know all the shots that we can use with it. So if you got a new idea or you want to try something out during a service, just tell the director and go ahead and try it. Mistakes do not matter with this new camera. We want to explore the creativity first. And that's all you need to know about this camera, at least the basics. So go out there and get some cool shots with this.